So I'm coming to terms with some things. And I don't want to seem like a total traitor to people, but um, I kind of come to terms. It's not that I don't believe that Black lives don't matter, right? I believe that Black lives matter and should matter, and how sometimes Black lives don't get treated justly or fairly within the system of how they get treated and stuff like that here in America. But at the same time, I don't always agree within the factor of the movement or the cause. I mean, I kind of I kind of believe that that Black lives should matter. I mean, they should matter more, and they should have equal rights as compared to somebody who's white. But when it comes to the people saying, "Oh, do you support the cause or the movement?" I'm kind of like at that point where I almost don't want to support either, because I've had issues with people who've said they were both within the cause in the movement, and I've had issues with people's responses, and people who said they were for peaceful protests and stuff like that, and for peaceful rallying and stuff, and people did not, and people were not peaceful. People's responses were not peaceful, especially towards me. So I don't believe in the movement or the cause of Black Lives Mattering, but I believe that Black lives should matter. I mean, I'm taking myself away from, the actual thing of the groups of people, because when you get other groups of people involved in, the cause and the situation, I mean, there's good people out there, and people will believe what you believe, and it's you guys can get along, but there's other people out there sometimes, and you don't always get along, and they're not always just by the movement or the cause. So I think I gotta look more. Some people say, "Oh, I believe in the movement. I don't believe in the cause of Black Lives Matter." But for me, I believe that Black lives should matter. I believe that Black lives should have equal rights to people who are white and stuff like that. But is the system always unfair? Is the system always unjust when it comes to people who have to go to jail and stuff? Is the system always unjust? Sometimes it really is unjust, but other times I think it sometimes treats certain things fairly. There's people out there right now with stuff trying to shooting rappers and doing all this stuff to people, and then committing all these crimes and stuff out there in the world, and some of them are actually black, and it's just because just because they say something like, "Oh, Black Lives Matter," that doesn't mean they should be able to get away with the crime that they commit. Because I think sometimes people think Black Lives Matter is the excuse to act a certain way, or to do a certain thing, or do maybe a crime, or commit a certain action that is not really supposed to be even really tolerated, but people feel like they can tolerate it because supposedly, yes, Black Lives Matter, and they're supposed to have equal rights compared to us, and it's, I don't know. I mean, I want to say that I believe in the black culture and the black society and the black movement and stuff like that for Black Lives Matter, but I don't know. I mean, as far as the cause and the movement, I just realized that there's some people within the cause and the movement that I've obviously had personal issues with, and etc. over personal things, and I've had issues of how people responded to me, and how people responded to how I was how I was viewing my views and stuff, how certain people would come at me and not in a non-peaceful manner. So when it comes to Black Lives Matter, I believe that Black lives do matter, or Black lives should matter. Black lives should have a lot, as much as the equal rights compared as us. But when it comes to the movement and the cause, I believe there are some people within those movements and causes for Black Lives Matter that don't do just by it, and then do a lot of damages and stuff, and have a lot of actions and things that are not as peaceful, or are there for the right reasons. So I don't know, but for me personally, I still believe that Black lives should matter and stuff like that. But I also kind of want to take, I don't want to be, I don't want to bring up the past too much, but there was this one person, probably a few months ago, probably earlier in the year, over like the summer before the fall, where I kind of had this date with somebody that really did not go well. But she was actually a black woman. She was actually a black woman, and she said to me that, she doesn't really want to believe in the Black Lives Matter movement because there's different, people seem to want to get away with a crime, or people want to seem to get away with doing a wrong, and they should just be responsible just as well as somebody else who is, white or etc. So, or if a white person commits a crime, they should just be as responsible as a black person, and so on and so forth. But somebody had said to me that that they don't believe in that movement, but they also don't believe that it doesn't matter, that Black lives don't matter either. They feel that Black lives should matter, but they also believe that that some things within the movement and like the cause, and how some people act and some people try to act and respond to stuff. It's not always just or correct, or societally correct for how people act, because supposedly there's a movement for Black Lives Matter because they feel that they haven't been treated properly, but yet they're acting a certain way within society that's obviously putting them into them and a lot of other people possibly in harm's way, and they have to suffer the consequences for going to jail or court or stuff. But I don't know. I mean, I do believe that Black Lives Matter. It's not. I mean, I went back and forth on this for the longest time. I can still believe that Black Lives Matter and people's lives should matter and stuff like that. But when it comes to the movement and the cause, I kind of had to do a lot of thinking about this, and it's just like the people within the individual movements and cause. As I said before in this video, it's like I don't believe that all of them are there for the just or right reasons, or I don't believe that all of them really have like the just or right reasons to really, take part. But Black Lives, the Black Lives Matter, the cause and the movement have become so big and so widely pronounced that I don't believe that everybody is always there for the right reasons, But it's become such a big and wide worldly thing that for everybody to say, oh, Black Lives Matter, that, there's just so many people within the movement, It's hard to keep track of who's there for the good things and who's there for the bad things, But I'm not gonna say that that Black lives don't matter. I'm not gonna say that we don't live, we're not supposed to live in a just society. I mean, I can't say that it's totally just and stuff. I can't say the law is totally fair by people and stuff like that. But I don't know. I mean, when certain people start preaching, oh, Black Lives Matter, this is unjust, sometimes I have to question things, like, is it really unjust, or is it really the fact that, they just feel like, because they're black and stuff, that, that people should, kind of, just respect their wishes and stuff like that, because the system's so unjust and they should have a right to just say how it should go. I mean, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to sound like a moron here, and I'm trying to explain this the best way I know how, and try to explain it from the best part of my heart. But because everybody knows me. I love the black culture. I love black women. I love black men. I love the culture. I love the food. I love the music. I like half of society wouldn't be running right now without rap music, and the black culture's like music and influence on the music and the arts and stuff like that. That as society, we wouldn't be running as a culture and stuff, and as a country and stuff, if it wasn't for the black community. But at the same time, I just think that sometimes people are there. Sometimes people are among the certain causes and the movements for the wrong reasons, and I just no longer want to support certain. As an individual, I want to go to somebody and say yes, you're a black person. Your life should matter. You should be treated fairly and with respect and honors and all that. But when it comes to people breaking the law and acting kind of crazy within society and stuff like that, I can't necessarily just honor that and be like, oh, because you're black, you can get away with a murder, you committed and stuff like that. Because I just can't, wrap my head around that. I mean, there's good people in the world and there's bad people in the world. Doesn't matter what skin color you are. It's like whether you're black or you're white. There's good people and there's bad people. It doesn't, and it's on every side. It's on each side. It's on every race. Every race has a good person and a bad person. Because we're all, the bottom line, we're all human. We're all human and we're all one race, or we're all one species. But we're all different races and we come in all different races and creeds and colors and stuff like that. But there's good people and there's bad people. And I want to believe that, but I just can't believe that, that everything about Black Lives Matter, or how people want to go about Black Lives Matter is just and right by society. I want to believe in, though, as a natural thing, though, that a black person's life should matter. So I say yes, Black lives should matter. Because black lives, should matter. They should have the equal rights and opportunities as such, equal to a white person. Whether they have that or not, well, then the system needs to, some things in the system might need to be changed. But so I think some people just use some things as an excuse and stuff, and I think it really gets kind of really, kind of where you have to keep, kind of draw lines in the sand and say, well, is this really worth it? Or is this really right? Or, and be like, is this really just? Could be just because someone says, oh, this is unjust and this should be the way it should be and stuff like that. But I mean, I know that the system is unjust because I just saw something on Facebook sometimes too, where the system had to exonerate, 4 black men after 75 years in prison because they were accused of rape and stuff, and they had to get exonerated because they did not commit the crime. They didn't commit the crime, and took them 75 years for them to, be exonerated from the crime. So, so it's like that. It's like the situations like that and stuff. But, anyways. I'm just chilling at this point, and I just wanted to get that off my chest. That Black lives should, do matter. They should matter. But when it comes to like the cause and the movement, I have just my differences sometimes of how other people kind of react within the cause and the movement. And at the end of the day, you can only be responsible for you and how you represent, possibly, the black community and black lives and how you go about, putting your energies out there into the world to help heal and grow the world and interact with the world. You can't be responsible for how anybody else does stuff, but at the same time, there's other people within those, those movements and stuff that do kind of take things and wrongfully use them to misguide and misuse them for their for different advantages and stuff like that are not necessarily about the actual cause or the actual purpose. So I heard something too that some of the families' wishes were not respected within the Black Lives Matter movement. It was either within the movement or the cause that some of the families' wishes were not respected with how people went about things. And people were not respecting their wishes of how to honor their son and stuff, which was the whole reason why they were there. They were there to honor their son and stuff because their son was one of the people of the black, within the black community that got killed, and yet people were, people in the Black Lives Matter movement were going all kinds of crazy and doing all kinds of other stuff, and not really, doing right by, by the family or why they were there. So, I'm looking at everything and I'm seeing what everything's going on. I mean, I want to say that Black lives do matter, and they do. I want to say that because that's something I want to believe in, is that people have equal rights. But I also believe too, if you're a shithead to somebody, you're a shithead to somebody, and you shouldn't even go near them. I don't know about rights and whatever else, because some people are especially in my personal situations, people are preaching to me about rights and people having rights to do things and stuff like that because of some issues that have happened. Especially as I said it before, that I was in a mental health program that was like a clubhouse, and they thought I had mental health issues or something, or some issues, because I was always speaking about Black Lives Mattering and stuff like that, and I was going about certain things and talking about how certain things had happened within the movement and stuff like that, and people thought because I'm a white person that I was being culturally inappropriate because I was trying to represent the Black Lives Matter movement and go about it in a way that I was trying to go about it. But they didn't handle my situation with that very, very well and stuff like that. And granted, they got a lot of the other clients and stuff involved, where they kind of spread my business all over to the other clients out in the open. And out in the open, when they really should have just pulled me aside and said, "Okay, Carl, this is what I have issues with, and this is what we need to address." Instead, they addressed it in front of everybody, creating this whole big feud between me and some of the other clients that happen to be black. That happen to be black and happen to have darker skin than myself. So there's a big feuding thing going on, and some of those people even started, bullying me over women and stuff like that, because they feel like, oh, they're the black guy, and because they're the black guy, they're better than me and stuff like that, and they can get the girls and stuff because they're the better guy and stuff like that because of how they go about and handle things, and they feel like they can cluck their feathers or do whatever they need to do to show that show that they're the better black man over a white guy like me, who just wants to talk to a black female and try to interact with a black female and maybe flirt or whatever else and get my game on because a black man has a problem with it. So it is what it is. It is what it is at this point. But it did cause a lot of problems and stuff within the mental health community with some of the black clients and stuff like that, because things weren't handled right. Granted, now they have cultural groups and stuff, cultural groups and other stuff in place within that clubhouse and stuff like that to better, save their asses from, future problems and stuff like that, because they were getting into these problems with me. But, I do believe that Black Lives Matter, but I do believe that there are people out there that have treated people like shit and stuff like that, and they need to be held accountable for their actions and how they treat people and how they go about things, So, but I do want to believe that, Black lives should have, people in Black lives should have the right to education. They should have a right to the same legal stuff. They should have, they should have rights too, But, I don't know. I'm going to leave it at that, I guess. I'm going to go make some more coffee, but I just wanted to get that off my chest. I mean, it's not that I don't believe in Black Lives Matter. There's just different, there's different parts of Black Lives Matter that I've been learning about and stuff like that. There's things I agree with, and there's things I don't agree with. But as a whole and as a thing, I want to say that Black lives should matter, and they do matter. How people go about it and how people seem to view it and stuff like that in my hands seems to make me question a lot about how people go about the movement and the cause. But that's all I wanted to say.